Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Mindset Matters. My name is Leanne Cannon, and as a mindset mentor, I love to help entrepreneurs, small business owners, and sales professionals grab the reins of their own mindset so they can begin living the life they desire rather than desiring the life they're not living. My company is Cannon Coaching and Connecting because I'm all about coaching and connecting. I connect business professionals with potential JV partners, with potential clients, also just good friends and resources. And I do that through networking events. So I have several networking events that I hold every single month. The third Friday of each month is a speed networking that we do virtually. And we used to do this in person. But what we found are some benefits to speed networking in a Zoom platform. For one thing, instead of doing your mini commercial, your 30-second commercial 10 or 12 times, you can do a full commercial, tell your story, a whole minute to everyone once. So that's a bonus, really. Another advantage is that you have the opportunity to gather everyone's contact information, everyone in attendance. And of course, there's not having to go somewhere. You could do this right from where you are. So the third Friday of every month, um, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, we do a speed networking. And the link associated with our speed networking events is going to be associated with the show today. I also have a women's group called Divas with a Dream. And we're a group of professional women who come together for synergy, energy, encouragement, camaraderie. And my aim is always to provide motivation, inspiration, and education. And the truth is, it comes from all of us. And so we get together on Zoom as well. It's a Facebook group. So any of you ladies out there who would like to join Divas with a Dream Facebook group, I would invite you to do that. Let everybody know who you are and what you do. There's about 400 of us, and it's an international group, so I invite you to just step on in and let everybody know about you. But every month we also do Zoom networking events, and we always discuss topics that are relevant either to personal development or business growth. So I invite you uh, to see what we're all about. Okay. So now that that's all taken care of, let's get into our topic, shall we? During our last episode, we talked about how to shift your paradigm and how shifting your paradigm can actually change your life. There's so much more to say about this topic that I decided to do a part two. So that's where we are today. Paradigm shift, part two. But to get started, what is a paradigm? For those of you who weren't here last episode, a paradigm is really your belief system. It's your perception of things, your worldview, and the view of yourself. Um, it is possible to change or shift your paradigm, but you first have to be aware of what it is, that it is, and learn how to make that shift. What specific things do you need to do to shift your paradigm, and why would you want to shift it anyway? Okay. Um, and so we talked about some of this last episode in some detail. So if you'd like to know more details about, where it comes from, how that belief system is set up, how a lot of it can be negative, some of it is positive, and how you can shift some of the uh, areas of your paradigm, your belief system, your perception that's negative, and how it is still impacting you and influencing your life day to day to day. So, uh, if you didn't get to see the last episode, check it out. And now we're going to go into phase two. All right. So, as you can look at this little diagram here. This represents your paradigm. This is your body. And that's important because your body is what moves you into action. But your paradigm is what moves your body. And here's why that works, how it works just that way. This is your subconscious mind or your subjective mind. And it really is where your paradigm resides. And what's so insidious about it is that it can be kind of silent. You might not recognize it as there. Maybe by the end of today, you'll start recognizing when you hear it talking to you, holding you back. But this is our thinking mind. This is where we can actually make decisions and decide, am I going to believe this or not? Am I going to go here or do that? And many people have ideas about what they want to do, where they want to go, who they want to become, what they want to have. I think I'll ask the boss for a promotion. I certainly deserve it. I want to move to Arizona. I've always wanted to live out west. Let's say you want a better car. You want a better home. But here's what happens a lot of times, and you might recognize this for yourself. Fear holds people back. The person that wanted that promotion might be afraid to ask the boss. Yeah, but if I ask, I might get fired. The person who wants to buy a car might be afraid to buy that car. Might be too expensive. The person who's always wanted to move stops short of doing that. Stays right where they are. The person that wanted that better home, they fear they don't really deserve it. And so the fear actually comes from the paradigm. And last week we talked about worry, doubt, fear, and anxiety, all stemming from the junk and sludge that has been dumped into your subconscious mind, even as you were growing up. And so these are things that can subtly hold you back from taking steps forward that you really want to take. It's not that you don't want to. You want to. And you might even know how, but you just don't do it. Then you might beat yourself up for not doing it. Why didn't I go for it? Why didn't I do that? I really wanted to. Window of opportunity closed. Let me give you just a couple of examples of how paradigm can impact your decisions even today. Your paradigm, your belief system, the foundation was laid when you were young, when you were a child. And that here you are as an adult still being impacted by that belief system that has been embedded in your subjective mind. So one example of this, just to show you what I mean. There was a man who, this was back in the day, it was 1961 we're talking, okay? This will matter in a minute. But in any case, he never had a good job. He couldn't hold a job. He was very uneducated. His paradigm, like most, came from his parents and his surroundings. Didn't think that much of himself. But he got a job at the fire station, which he was very excited about. And he got paid more there than he had ever gotten paid. And if you know anything about fire stations, you know that their hours are pretty good. And as long as there's not a fire, they can watch TV, they can play cards, they're cooking, When they have to face a fire, it can be a life-threatening event. But while they're in the firehouse and nothing's going on, it can be pretty cushy. So he was very happy to have this job. And because he had extra time on his hands, he decided to pursue something else on the side. Turns out his side job earned him more money than the chief was making. Now, the chief was making $11,200 a year. Like I said, it was 1961. And he said, there can only be one chief. And I'm making $11,000 a month at my gig. But guess what his paradigm? told him, better not leave that job. Better safe than sorry. It's not much, but at least you got this security. You know, that's surprising in a way, isn't it? But that was his paradigm at the time. He did learn to bust through that paradigm and has since become a multimillionaire. He's travels the world today, uh, helping people appreciate what you and I are talking about right now. Okay, let's take Marianne as another example. Totally different example, but the um, an example of a paradigm, though. Okay, and how a paradigm can mess with you. Your paradigm can either be the engine that catapults you forward, or it could be an anchor that keeps you stuck. Either way. And once you understand it, then it's a choice. Otherwise, it operates by default. That's why it's important to understand how your paradigm works. And that is something that you're really dealing with every single day, whether you realize it or not. So let's talk about Marianne, shall we? She worked in a convent for years. I think it was 25 years. And by the time she decided to do something else, she was in her 50s. And she had always dreamed of what it would be like to have a romantic relationship with a man. But now that she's in her 50s, she thought, well, I'm too old. It's too late for me now. Imagine that. But anyway, that was her paradigm. She really believed that. She believed that, it was a little late for her. So 20 years pass, and she's just focusing on her social work. She became a social worker, and that was her focus. Thankfully, she was introduced to information that we're talking about right now, and she learned how to reshape her belief system, her perception, and her worldview to realize that she's not too old for that. That's just her perception. That was just her paradigm talking to her, holding her back. When she learned how to bust through that, it so happened that at 75 years old, she found the love of her life. I saw her on a dance floor, happy as a lark. Isn't that interesting? And the sad truth is that had she not ever learned about her paradigm in the first place, and then how to bust through it, she likely would have just died a spinster. Okay, she's alive today, but she would not have pursued a romantic relationship had she not learned about how to shift her paradigm and how to bust through it. Okay, I'll tell you my own story. All right, my short story. The short story is there was a time in my life when I went to work every day like a whole lot of people. Job I hated. People were so unpleasant. Oh my goodness. I think about that. And every day I was there, 8 o'clock, And honestly, I am not wired to sit in somebody else's cubicle all day. That's really not me. But my paradigm at the time was, this is what I have to do to make a living. So there I was, every day. And I hated when the alarm went off, because it was like a jolt. You got to get up and go to that place. That's what I did. And on beautiful days, oh my goodness, I would look out the window and think, oh, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, gorgeous. And here I sit in a cubicle. What? So one day, I was asked to speak for the group on a topic. And so I got excited and I did that. Loved it, fell in love with it. And I came home that night and I told my husband, honey, if I had my druthers, I would much rather do this than that. But I was just talking. You know what he said to me? Well, then do it. I'm like, you're right. I mean, that would be nice, but no, he said, no. If that's what you really want to do, if that's what you enjoy doing, then that's what you should pursue. That blew my hair back because I'm thinking, how? You know, could I? Really? Well, the rest is history, as they say, because today I don't set my alarm. I refuse because that was one of the things that I hated, and I don't do that. Um, if on a beautiful afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a gorgeous day, I feel like going swimming, with my grandchildren, I will do that. Even during this quarantine, on a beautiful day, I'd go take a walk if I felt like it. And I did many times. But I couldn't do that at that job, not if I wanted to keep it. But it was just my paradigm keeping me there. I certainly didn't want to stay there. And thanks to my husband, who was the wind beneath my wings, and his encouragement, I did bust through that paradigm and changed the way I was living, changed everything. What about you? What would change for you if you learned how to shift your paradigm? If you're at a job that you would prefer not to be in, or maybe you would like to find a mate, or improve the relationship that you have, or move, or whatever. Go and pursue art or something else, But if you feel like you're being held back, it's likely your paradigm is keeping you stuck. So what this X represents right here is your current paradigm, your current belief system, the foundation that was laid a long time ago. It sits right here, nestled in your subconscious mind. This X here, which is in your thinking mind, where you make decisions, you notice that there's an X here too. That's because we tend to think thoughts that are in harmony with the foundation that has already been laid. Why? Well, it's more comfortable. It feels right. This is our emotional mind. So the subconscious is really the residing place of our feelings and our emotions, whereas our thinking mind that makes decisions usually thinks in harmony with our subconscious mind because it's comfortable. It's familiar. Might not even be what you want, but it's familiar. And so, what if you get a Y idea? What's a Y type idea? That would be like what we talked about before. I'd love to move. I want a raise. I want to start my own business. But as long as you're just thinking those thoughts, nothing happens. It's okay. Boy, that would be nice. I think I'd like to do this, that, or the other thing. You're not upsetting the apple cart. The thing is, until you change your paradigm, nothing happens. That's why it's so critically important to understand it. Because remember, this is the seat of our emotions. And our emotions are what cause us to act. If we get emotionally involved in something, that is what will cause us to act upon it. If it's just a thought, we'll just keep thinking it. But if we get emotional about it, like I really want to move, I guess like I felt when I contemplated the idea of preferring to speak and teach over, sitting in that cubicle. That was a strong desire. My emotions were attached to that all of a sudden. And when your emotions become involved with whatever it is you want to do, that's when everything hits the fan. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is you're stepping out of what we call our comfort zone. Because now you want to do something different. And your subconscious mind is actually programmed to keep things status quo. It's like a protective mama that wants to keep you home. Just keep you safe and keep you here, keep you home. Don't venture out. It might be dangerous out there. You don't know what's out there. You don't know what's going to happen. And that is true a lot of times. You venture out to do something new and different. You don't know what's going to happen. And so your subconscious mind is like that protective mama. This wants to keep it here, keep it close to the vest. You're fine, you're good. And so it starts to fight you. How does it fight you? When you start to doubt yourself. Should I really do this? What am I thinking? What was I thinking? I don't really have the education for this, or I don't have the money for that, or I'm too old now, like Marianne, she thought that, or like Bob, I really shouldn't leave this job. He started to doubt himself, and then when you start to doubt yourself, you worry about it. Um, your subconscious mind will punch you in the gut. I mean, think about it. You can get so anxious over something like that, making a big move, starting your own business, um, asking for a raise, that your stomach starts to churn. You know, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to quit your job or whatever it is? So your subconscious mind will start really working at fighting you, at keeping you back, holding you back. So that's why we talk about busting through the terror barrier, because that's what this is. You have these thoughts. I'd like to do this. I want to do that. I'd love to do the other thing. Now you're emotionally involved. Now you want to make a decision. Now you want to move in that direction. So you want to move toward these things. New job, new home, great car, new whatever. Okay. And you hit this, we call it a terror barrier, because it's like a barrier. Mentally and subconsciously, you hit that wall and bounce right back into your comfort zone. And like I said, it's not always because it's what you want to do. It's because it's familiar. It feels like it's what you should do. It feels like the safer thing to do. Like um, like the person I mentioned in the beginning, he was thinking, well, better safe than sorry. And he realized, no, that was his paradigm talking to him, totally. And when you hit that wall and you bounce back, that's kind of like when you cancel a sale, when you get buyer's remorse, when you were walking towards the boss's office to ask him for a raise, and then you turn around and go back to your desk and shrug your shoulders. You hit that wall. When you got excited about moving and you were looking at pictures and talking to everybody, and then, I'm good, really. I mean, I've been here all my life. You hit that wall and you stayed right where you were. You stayed stuck. And so, one of these times soon, we'll talk about the idea that everything is energy and how thoughts are also energy. Our thoughts are so powerful, way more powerful than most people even realize. We touched on it at the last episode, but um, we'll dive in one time, okay? Because you've heard the phrase, many of you have heard the phrase that our thoughts become things, and of course this is true. Everything that you're looking at in the room where you're sitting right now was a thought first, before it became a thing. Every house or building on the street that you see, somebody had to think about that before it could be built. So thoughts do become things. And what you think about, you bring into your experience. And so you've heard the phrase, what you think about, you bring about. That's why. And really, it's because since your thoughts are energy and they're all always emitting a frequency, what we've found is that energy attracts energy like itself. And we'll get into that in another episode. But that becomes your point of attraction, what you're thinking about. And so that's why shifting your paradigm to think better thoughts, to shift your perception, can make a huge difference for you. Can change your whole life. Can mean the difference between staying here and entering freedom. We call busting through this wall, busting through the terror barrier. On the other side is everything you want. That's freedom. Just like the way I feel now about, I'm working with people I love to work with. I'm talking about things that feel important to me, things that I really want to talk about every single day. So it's called freedom. This is called the comfort zone, but you know what that really is? It's bondage. It's bondage with no doors. Because you're stuck. So everyone who's ever advanced, who's ever progressed, who's ever accomplished anything had to break out of their comfort zone. You may have heard the example given of how baby elephants were trained in the circus. This was years ago. I don't know if it's still being done, but it worked like a charm because they would take a baby elephant and all they had to do was wrap a rope around its hind leg with a post in the ground to keep that baby elephant in a particular circumference. It couldn't go farther. It would try, but after a while it would give up. Like, well, this is my area. This is as far as I can go. It learned that. It was programmed to think that way, to believe that. So even when it became a colossus, it wouldn't take much to keep it right in a certain area because it was trained that you could go so far and no farther. And so many of us have been subconsciously trained that way. And the thing about your subconscious mind is it does talk to you. But you might not realize it until you pause long enough to listen. Suddenly you'll start hearing those limiting beliefs that keep you right where you are. And remember, your emotions is what gets you moving. And that's because when I spoke about everything being energy, that means everything is vibrating. And so we're vibrating at a certain rate of vibration, and your emotions are what cause that rate of vibration. You can kind of see that, can't you? Imagine if you're really excited and you can't wait for something. You're so happy about something that's going on, something that you're looking forward to. You can imagine that your rate of vibration, quite literally, is pretty high. Conversely, if you're very depressed, if you're feeling low, if you're feeling sad, you're at a low vibration. And this is quite literal. You're literally at a low vibration. And so that's why, part of the reason why what you think about, you bring about, because you're attracting energy that matches where you are. So you have a choice about what that is once you know. And a lot of times people wonder, well, why am I not moving forward? Why am I stopping myself? I know that I'm self-sabotaging. I know it. But how can I stop doing that? And have you ever said that to yourself? What's wrong with me? You know, I wanted to do this, I meant to do this, and I never did it. And we can second guess ourselves and doubt ourselves and feel bad about ourselves. Really, give yourself a break. Now you know there's a specific reason why this is happening. There's a reason. The good news is that you can also change it. It's also possible to shift that paradigm and change your life. And if you catch the last episode, we talked about some other examples of how that works that might be encouraging to you. Once you know that there is such a thing, you know, that your paradigm really is real and it really can hold you back, and then you realize that there are specific things that you can do to completely bust out into freedom, then it'll give you a whole new perspective on yourself and on what's possible for you. The very first thing is to identify what it is you want. That's number one. So, I'm glad we had a chance to talk about our paradigm, what it is, how it affects us, and what it means to bust through it. Now, next episode, we're going to talk about how making very small moves can be all the difference in reaching your goal with momentum. And when I say small moves, I mean tiny little, seemingly insignificant things that seem to make no difference whatsoever while you're doing them. And yet those are the very things that can make all the difference. And sometimes because those things are so minuscule, we can put them on the back burner and stop doing them. And then we don't get where we want to go. So let's talk about that, shall we? I think you'll appreciate it. It might be eye-opening for some and just a great reminder for others. So, in the meantime, this is Leanne Cannon signing off, reminding you that your mindset matters, and it matters a lot. Join me at the upcoming Zoom sessions, and I'll look forward to seeing you then.